All right, in this lesson, we're looking at cell organelles. The last time you would have seen these is probably year 8, so it's really important that we brush up on them before we learn a little bit more about prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. I'm going to go quite quickly, so slow me down or pause, whatever it is, so you can catch up on what you need to do. So prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells is what we're aiming to do, and what we are looking to do at the end of this is interpret and identify cell organelles from electron micrographs and draw those cells. But we have to be able to know what those organelles are first before we can identify them. Okay, an organelle is a specialized subunit within a cell that has a specific function. I forgot to mention there's a whole heap of memes in here, so please just ignore them if you don't care. And our cell membrane is the first thing we need to know about, and we'll learn a lot more about that down the track. It is semi-fluid, it is a phospholipid bilayer, and it forms a boundary. Okay, it's really important that it regulates what's coming in and out of the cell. And we talked about surface area to volume ratio. This is the thing that is doing all those exchanges that mean that the surface area are really important. Cell wall is really only appearing in plants and some bacteria and things like that, some fungi as well, but it lies right around the outside of the membrane, so it's further outside, and it's there to protect and support as well as maintain the shape of the plant cells, which is why animal cells don't have them, because we are a lot more fluid in our movement and body. Plant cells are a lot more rigid. It prevents excess water uptake and also loss where required. Right. The nucleus, obviously, it's got a variable location, but it is that control center, and it contains the genetic material. It has its own membrane, and it's surrounded by a membrane in eukaryotic cells only. Okay. It's regulating all the activities in the cell, and I'm going to start putting in clips from your textbook, and that's pretty much what you'll see in an electron micrograph right there. It does have a double nuclear membrane, and there's some further information there you can do some reading on. All right, our mitochondria, they are the powerhouse of the cell. We do know that, and it's involved in cellular respiration, which produces the energy we need for us to do cellular activities, whether they be pulling apart nutrients or whatever. So they are abundant in cell types like muscle, where there needs to be a lot of energy, and we'll talk more about cellular respiration later. Mitochondria are thought to have evolved from ancient bacteria, and they've thought that they've made, newer cells have taken in bacteria and started to kind of use them as a little helper, and then eventually that's evolved into actually being just a mitochondria, so part of that tiny cell. They have their own DNA and ribosomes, and they're passed down through the maternal information. So all your cells have maternal mitochondrial DNA, but there's recent developments to say that perhaps you can actually get some from your father's side. So we will be talking more about cellular respiration a lot later. Mitochondria have the membrane, and the membrane actually extends all the way inside the mitochondria, so you can see this really distinct shape when you're looking at an electron micrograph, so that one should be easy to spot. All right, chloroplasts contain chlorophyll. They are plant cell specific. Sometimes you will see them in algae, but there might be a different dye that actually does it, so it might not be chlorophyll, it might be something else. And photosynthesis occurs here, so that's the process of making sugars and oxygen out of our carbon dioxide and water. All right, so we'll talk more about that later. Chloroplasts are quite, again, very distinct looking, and you'll have a lot of practice, but it kind of looks like a roll of coins or a coil or something coiled up in there, so you can see those lighter sections up there. Ribosomes are protein production workbenches. That is their real only job, and the funny thing is they themselves are made of protein. So they are proteins making other proteins. They don't have a membrane, and what happens later on down the track when we do a bit more genetics, we'll learn that proteins are made based on some RNA, so types of nucleic acids, the same thing that DNA is made up of, and it gives them the instructions on what to make. So it can be free. They can be attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. So they can be in different spots around the place, just free floating in the cytoplasm or attached to something. And here is what a ribosome actually looks like. They're just tiny little circular things that you'll see all the way around the place, okay? Sometimes very hard to spot because they are quite small. And this is what we're talking about when we're saying ribosomes. They are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, and otherwise they can be free floating as well. Endoplasmic reticulum is a continuation of the nuclear membrane. So the nuclear membrane that's going all the way around, it's double all the way around the nucleus, and then it starts to come off in folds, and that's what makes the endoplasmic reticulum. It is involved with the synthesis of proteins because the ribosomes are attached to it, but also by the time it gets to the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, where there are no ribosomes attached, it's folding and modifying those proteins ready for transport out into some other place or some other part of the cell. So you can see these kind of little long squiggles because remember we talked about it being part of the nuclear folds, and sometimes you will actually see those tiny little ribosomes attached, and sometimes you will see that it is smooth. So we're going to pause there and we'll come back with a second video.